All right, we are back and we're black with it. Speaking into the microphone that works all the time because this works. It's just this that don't work. So that's fun. All right. I don't know why the fuck my settings are not allowing me to ever do any YouTube stuff, but there's that. Okay, so today's video is called How Artificial Intelligence Replaced Human Intuition. But before we get started with that, my name is Emmanuel Velasco, and I say some outlandish shit sometimes. So before I say some outlandish shit, let's go to the quote, the magic book that's right here. Whatever the fuck that was. Um, so, if someone can prove me wrong and show me my mistake in any thought or action, I shall gladly change. I seek the truth which never harmed anyone. The harm is to persist in one's own self deception and ignorance. And with that, golly, man. Like, alright, well, everything finna crash down in this motherfucker, apparently. Okay, so because I love YouTube so much, and I love how the lives work so well on my computer, I decided to do it yet again and show up on live, have it all prepared, have a decent amount of people, considering like what a decent amount of people is to me, which is 4 people, right, on the live. And unfortunately, I had to go ahead and be like, cancel this, let us do it again, which has been the repeat theme for a few of these YouTube videos, which is very interesting. So now what we're going to do, we're going to make sure we're actually live there too. So we're going to just make sure we watch ourselves as we watch ourselves because we always love to have, double sound. That's always incredible. So if you're the type of person who has a microphone and you're double mic'd up and you hear double the sound, we love you so much when you do that. Anywho, so how artificial intelligence replace intuition. So the reason why I say this is I use, now don't get me wrong, I use ChatGPT all the time. Like I go crazy on ChatGPT. And now get a massive amount of research done in a matter of 2 seconds. I used to be the type that would do the research and it would take me about, I don't know, a week, 2 weeks to accumulate the same amount of information that I do with ChatGPT, and like it's a day for me. We'll say it like that. So what took me 2 weeks takes me a day, which is super fast. Now, don't get me wrong, that's very incredible. And like I truly appreciate the speed at which it does that. And the understanding behind it though is that if we're doing all this and we're not being conscious about exactly what we're getting from it, because if we don't have the information ready to understand the concept of what we're doing, like let's say for example, I was on chat and I was typing in stuff about creative financing. So for you guys who don't know, creative financing, one avenue most people know is seller finance. So there's a lot of people who seller finance things, which is usually for property, right? But you could seller finance literally anything else. You could do cars, you could do, if you have a phone, right? You could seller finance the phone to the friend. But so I was asking this question to AI, and AI spit something back to me, and I was like, "Ooh, that's wrong. That's completely wrong. I already completely understand what's going at and why I did that, and it's wrong." But most people would just take it as fact. And so the reason why I say it gets rid of intelligence is literally because it removes the the person who is unaware and uninformed. They just take it at face value. They don't do their own research. So, like I always say, I say whatever I say to you, don't take it at face value. Don't like just do your own research. Whatever I say, confirm it for yourself. Right? Look it up on Google. Look it up on somewhere else. Right? Make sure you confirm everything that I say for yourself. Because if you just take my word for it, then you don't actually know. you were told something and now you take that as fact. So it's like until I put my hands on it, I do my research and all that, then I officially know for myself, right? And so that's why whenever I have a mentor, and sometimes I'm like, hey, what's the answer to this what you're saying? Like, do I have to look it up? And most of the times he's like, yeah, look it up. And so I immediately look it up, and I'm like, okay, yeah, like what he's talking about is correct. And I'm doing that always. Like now it's gotten to the point that as he's speaking, as he's saying things, I'm looking it up, just confirming. Boom, 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 boom. Because it's important to make sure you confirm for yourself. Remember, if you have two sources, then like that's better than one source, right? And so with AI, most people just input the information, they let it run, and then after that, they're like, okay, well, I know it now, but you don't know it because you never done it. What if AI gives you a plan, right? To, let's say, make $1,000. So all the stuff that you got around the house, you sell it. It says, oh, put this price up, put it like this, put the description like this, and then you find out that instead of selling it for $400, like it said, you don't get anything at 400, and you keep dropping it by 50 until it reaches 250. Okay, so now the information that you now have for your market and where you're selling your stuff is $150 off from what AI told you. But now you know because you did your own experiment, your own scientific research. So because of that, now you're able to really understand, like, okay, yeah, this is how it works, and this is what it would be. Like I could tell you exactly what I did, and this is how I did it, right? Versus like, okay, let's just talk to ChatGPT and see if it happens, right? You don't know. And so most people are replacing their facts, and I'm even seeing this. No lie, I'm on this platform called School. As you guys know, I have a community. Scratch that. I'm in the community with other community members who everybody who's a community member is a part of this community called Schoolers. And so Schoolers, these I'm seeing posts of community members and even comments of these people using AI, because you could tell, like if you don't clean up AI, you could easily tell. You could spot it like that 2 seconds, right? And so I'm seeing people do that with their posts, with their comments. It's like they're literally not speaking for themselves. They're not being authentic. Because if you're authentically you, hey, if I comment and you don't like it, well, shit, it's too bad. Like it came from me. Like so, it's like if you're offended by it, then I guess it meant to for you to take offense to it, because I don't mean harm to anybody. But if you want to take it, go ahead, take it. That's up to you. It's not up to me to decide what you receive and what you give. It's up to you for what you receive and what you give. And so I'm looking at these things, and like even I got some responses back to me with AI, and I'm like, I really don't even like. I stopped responding. I'm like, okay, if this person is responding with AI and they're not able to talk with their own language, then it's like, what's the point of talking to this person? Because I ain't talking to them. I'm talking with a robot, basically. And so the disconnect is real. It's happening as we speak, right? It's like people are literally removing themselves and replacing themselves with AI, right? And so it's very important for you to literally let your voice or let your voice be heard. Your voice, not no, like, okay, like I don't know how to say this, let me put it into AI so it puts it in plain English for me, because I can't articulate myself like that. And when you do that, it's like the essence of what you put together and what you just wrote is removed, because now AI came and replaced everything. So you gotta make sure that your voice and who's speaking is you, because there is a place for AI to work. When it comes to, for me, when it comes to follow up emails, like I'm putting stuff together with AI, right? But I put it together in a way, specifically in a certain way. So I put it in fifth grade or lower language, and the only way I'm able to do that really, really fast, let's say, is because of AI. That's what lets me do it fast and make it real nice and cute. But that's the follow-up game, right? At least the written follow-up game. Now, if I'm following up with a phone call, I'm following up with a phone call, and I'm not AIing that, which you can AI that, right? Um, If I'm doing text, it's the same thing. Once they get into the system, it's like it's somebody, it's a person, right? But for a lot of people, they have AI emails. They have and there's no voice behind it. They just let it be full AI and don't put like tweak it so it makes sense to like how they speak. And then there's chatbots. Chatbots. So they do text, right? And I have a software that does all this stuff, right? And then they have voice AI, so they could leave voicemails, they could do voice calls, and of course you have AI versions that are able to now do YouTube and stuff. So if you're paying attention, maybe you see it, maybe you don't. Some things it's literally like, oh my god, I can't tell the difference whether it's this person or that person because they look exactly the same. And so when human intelligence is being removed from this factor, everybody's going to be a skeptic now, right? Because they don't know what's real, what's fake. And even you can't tell what's real, what's fake if you don't have the information beforehand, right? So it's like all these books that you see on top. Oh, move that way. On top right here. All these books, it's like, is AI going to read that for me or am I going to read it? Because if I read it, I get the better understanding of whatever the topics are. And so when I'm able to understand the books and now ask AI about, okay, I've read this chapter, and so here's my point of view. Here's what I'm thinking. Boom, 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 boom. I give my opinion on it. What do you think about that? Is there any insights that I'm missing from what I read? And they'll tell you yes, no, and then if it says yes or no, explain why. And so using AI like that to leverage your understanding to get deeper understanding, that makes sense. But using AI to just give you the full understanding and then just spit it at people, like there's some coaches out there that they're leveraging AI, and because their crowd is older, the older crowd, and even like I have somebody my age that doesn't use AI, so it's like it's universal. But they have an older crowd, so the older crowd is not as forthcoming when it comes to these types of changes in technology, which you should be using it and getting familiar with it for sure. I'm not saying that AI is such a bad thing that you shouldn't use it. You should definitely leverage it because you'll realize how much speed you'll go with. Like it might just shrink the amount of work you do in half or even more than that, right? But so this coach, their crowd is older, and so the prompts and stuff that they're giving is like they're like, oh my god, this is so amazing, this is crazy, but it's so basic. You could literally go into ChatGPT or any other AI platform and be like, how do I use you? And it'll tell you how to use it. So just like anything else, you need to be trained and you need to be educated on it so you understand what's happening. And so the more information that you bring from your head into AI, and there's some people who, believe it or not, they use it for like very, very deep stuff. Because there was one point where AI was like, hey, do you want to make this chat public or not? And so some people made it public, but they didn't know that they made it public. And so because they made it public, now everybody's seeing the story. And what story are they telling? Well, there's sexual fantasies. And so they're saying all these sexual fantasies, and then guess what? It gets exposed, and then everybody, the world sees it. And so people are going too in depth with AI, and they're literally putting all their meat and potatoes, all their secrets into AI, so that AI knows everything about them, and then they could, say whatever, right? But that's still no good, because if you're putting everything into AI, then what do you have left? Nothing. And so the world is so much more fantastic with the unknown, because you don't know and the curiosity piques you. Then it makes it more fun, right? Because I used to be a mechanic, for you guys who didn't know, and fix cars and stuff like that. So there's some times where it's like I will look up how like all the bolts and see what sizes I need just so I could do the job faster. And then there's sometimes where I'm like, well, shit, I ain't go look up anything. I'm gonna just see what trouble I get into and figure out how to like remove things and put it all together. Because sometimes that's funner. But most of the times when you do AI, there's no opportunity to do that. right? There's no choice of like, let me do it like this or not. It's just go give you everything. And so AI too also hallucinates. So it'll tell you information, but it'll like hallucinate with what it's telling you all at the same time. So then you're taking these hallucinations as facts. And you're like, okay, now I could run with this. All this information, I could use it and, teach the people and get them more informed. But you're not getting these people more informed because what you're doing is you're regurgitating information that doesn't make sense. And so now you feel like you have a one leg up on people because like, oh, I did this so fast. And now like, let's say I have all these questions for the podcast, and these questions are so basic, but you don't realize that these questions are basic because you think they're the shit. Versus somebody who's just a good interviewer, and just based off the vibe of what they're getting, they're like, oh, but like, what about this? Like, have you thought about it in this way? Those questions are probably not going to be a problem from AI because AI is not in the conversation with you. It can't be in, it will eventually. I know this for a fact. It will be able to be something that's in your ear. And now, as you're talking and stuff, it'll probably tell you what to say to better gauge the situation, right? But you have to craft yourself naturally because if you don't do that and you're formed by something that was informed by a bunch of programming that now is programmed to inform you, then what program are you feeding yourself? Original one? Definitely not. So here's the problem is that everybody is eventually going to find out how incredible this stuff is. And then everybody's going to be on AI. And then everybody doesn't have a voice no more. They have an AI voice. And then there's going to come a point where people are smart enough to pay attention to like, oh, the way this thing is written and it has like a dash. That's how you know it's like AI because it has this long dash. And because it has this long dash, you're like, ah, that's AI. But eventually it's going to be smart enough to just remove that, or you're going to be smart enough to just remove that. And now it's going to be a little bit less clear to see if it's AI. But then they'll still have some hints, right? And now I'm not going to give you all the full sauce, but as soon as you notice it once, twice, three times, then you notice it forever. You'll be able to see it with clarity. And now being able to see it with clarity, you're going to be disgusted because it's going to be like, ugh, like people can't even be real no more. Already, people can't take the truth no more, right? Now, people can't even talk no more. So it's also kind of a form of censorship if you think about it. Because if we get everybody to have the same voice, then how do we control the people? Well, we control that one voice, and then all the masses is controlled. So, with that being said, if you've enjoyed everything that was being talked about, there is actually, I talked about this in the beginning, about school. School is a platform that allows us to build communities and have classrooms where we have a bunch of different teachings and stuff like that. Well, my classroom is pretty filled, and it's filling up even more every single time passes. Every day time passes really. And so there's more and more information always being added. Every month there's something new, right? Every week really there's something new being added, to be honest with you. And so if you enjoy this conversation and anything that I speak about, there's always a link in the description box below. If you click that link, it'll take you to the school community. And yes, it's paid. You do have to pay for it. But you do gain access to a lot of incredible people, such as myself, but there's a lot more people. And the way that I work to help people in the five realms of life: mind, spirit, health, wealth, and relationships. If you're able to, I don't like master. If you're able to get a better understanding in these five realms and become a student of life in these five realms, you'll be able to have such a better quality of life, you won't believe it. And most people, they're missing a lot. They're like 50% is pretty decent, if you will, across the board on average. And so if you rather be better than 50%, then I recommend you click the link below and join the community. Because right there we talk about so much stuff, and then you get access to me and you could ask me questions. So again, If you like it, links there in the bio. I hope you enjoy this video. This has been how artificial intelligence replaced human intuition. Don't let it replace yours. Be original. And with that being said, I'll see you on the next video, which is tomorrow at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. We're here every day, even though this computer right here is still doing some fuckery where I cannot speak to you guys on it, and I had to reset it every single time, and just in order to be able to speak to you guys like this. So if you enjoy the effort that we always make to make sure that we're on here on time-ish, then subscribe, like, comment, and we'll see you on the next one.